This is the Foot and Ball Fantasy League News, breaking stories, overreactions, and totally questionable predictions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chip Blitzman, and this is Foot and Ball's Fantasy News. Week 6 brought fireworks, heartbreak, and one or two performances that made you question your very lineup decisions. But fear not, friends. Chip's got the breakdown, the highlights, and a little bit of that sweet, sweet smack talk to carry you into Week 7. So let's take a look back at Week 6 performances and highlight some of the key wins and losses of the week. Starting off strong, or in some cases not so strong, A Night with Christian lit up the scoreboard this week, dropping a massive 202 points and taking home Team of the Week honors. Meanwhile, Rock Flag and Eagles stumbled again, just 102 points, marking their 6th straight loss. We're entering the do they even set their lineup territory. And standing tall atop the fantasy food chain, the Darmine Doggies, now 5-1 and still king of the kennel. Now let's look at some of the awards for Week 6. For most efficient manager, we had Garumba Mungus. This coach week after week is overcoming the odds with incredibly efficient management of his team, managing to line up the perfect team starters week over week. His coaching is incredible, and we look forward to an interview with him next week. For least efficient manager, while Cinder Snap Bear has managed to coach the Darmine Doggies with an effective record, there have been a few weeks where we're questioning if it's luck that's carrying him rather than his coaching. For the biggest blowout this week, of course, we are looking at A Night with Christian. This coach is achieving some incredible high scores week over week, and we're starting to wonder if they're one of the more dominant teams that we're going to see start taking the lead in the second half of the season. For narrow victory, we see Dakota Star pulling ahead at the last minute to beat Bye Week. Bye Week, I don't know how many more close losses that they can take. This team's morale has to be low. And then again for Overachiever, we see A Night with Christian absolutely smashing it with a 202 score. And then for Underachiever, we see Verbal Abuse, really wondering if their team's going to be able to go the distance this year and keep up the victory that thus far they have been able to pull together at the start of the season. With the key performances of the week and the awards covered, let's jump into the current standings for the league and the current playoff picture going into Week 7. Let's take a look at the standings. So up at the top, you can see we've got the Darmine Doggies. They've had a 5-1 record, and overall they've been pretty dominant. I think the coach is just going to have to pay attention to their lineups each week and make sure that they've got the most efficient and effective players lined up based on their matchup. Close behind, we've got the Pass Me the Poobah team. They have been performing great all year, and while they share a 5-1 record with the Darmine Doggies, they're slightly behind, but they are closing that point deficit week over week. The Darmine Doggies are going to have to watch out. Next, we've got I Live in New York. Last week, they were up at the top of the standings, but they were knocked off by the Darmine Doggies, who were able to secure a win in Week 6 and reclaim spot number 1. Next up, we've got Let the Big Goose Honk. It's at this part in the standings where things get really close. Between them, the Titans only, the Gen Bones, it is as close as it gets. And so these teams are going to have to battle week over week to maintain their standing. Next up, we've got A Night with Christian, who, while they've had a slow start with a 2-4 record, we are starting to see these points add up. And so they're a team you're really going to want to keep an eye on in the second half of the season. Next, we've got Bye Week. This coach is a good coach. He knows how to line up the team. but we're seeing these narrow losses week over week. And what's going to be key is to not give up, keep the morale of the team high, and to keep pushing through and start getting some wins in the second half. Then down at the bottom, we've got Touchdown Syndrome and Rock Flag and Eagles. These teams are going to have to do some self-reflection and figure out if they're still going to lay it on the line this season, or if they're going to just try and do some coaching and some skill building and hope to get some good trades. Maybe there's some recruiting in the offseason that can turn things around next year, but we're at a point where they've got to make a decision about this season. Now, before we take a look at the Week 7 matchups, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor.
For years, my toes were curled so tight they had their own zip code. Then my doctor told me about Unclench. Unclench is the once-daily tablet for adults with curl toes, helping relax foot muscles so you can step into life loosened up.
Live from nowhere important, this is the Foot and Ball Fantasy League News Network, breaking the stories that only matter to our league and absolutely no one else.
Thank you to our sponsors at Unclench. Now, let's look at next week's matchups. First up, we've got the Darmine Doggies and Bye Week. This is the duel of the fates, a team that might be sustained by luck and a team that just hasn't been lucky enough matching up. We'll see what happens. Next, we've got Let the Big Goose Honk and I Live in New York. Now, I Live in New York has had a fantastic start to the season, but they've got Let the Big Goose Honk coming for them. This team needs to get a win, needs to get to the upper side of the standings to lock in that playoff position. So we should see a pretty competitive match. Next, we've got A Night with Christian and Pass Me the Poobah. This is the game to watch, folks. Both of these teams are high scoring. Both of these teams have incredible talent, and the coaches know what they're doing. So if you have to pick a game to watch this week, this is the one I'm recommending. Next up, we've got Tight Ends Only and Rock Flag Eagles. Now, if this season has told us anything, this is going to be a pretty easy win for Tight Ends Only, which is great. They need it. Again, this is one of those teams that's in the middle of the standings in a really competitive spot. And so this is a great time to get the easy win. But Rock Flag Eagles cannot give up. If they are going to turn this season around, this is the week to do it. If it's not this week, I don't know when it's going to happen. And then last, we've got the Jim Bones and Touchdown Syndrome. Now, if you look at the projections, the underdog is the Jim Bones. But I encourage you to not doubt this team. This coach has pulled off some incredible wins already this season when they've been doubted. So don't count them out. I think that it's going to be a good game. And if I had to put my money on someone, I'm putting it on the Jim Bones. So we'll see. But either way, I think we've got an exciting week of football on our hands. And with that, folks, we're wrapping up Week 6's coverage of Foot and Ball Fantasy News. But don't you dare touch that waiver wire just yet, because next week, we're bringing you even more heat. We'll be sitting down for an exclusive one-on-one interview with one of our league's coaches, diving deep into the strategies, heartbreaks, and pure delusion that fuel fantasy glory. Plus, we're launching a brand new segment, This Week in Memes, where we celebrate the finest trash talk, trade rage, and lineup blunders the internet has to offer. And as always, we'll keep you updated with the latest in fantasy football news, injuries, and league drama as the playoff picture starts to take shape. I'm Chip Blitzman, and this has been Foot and Ball Fantasy News, where the points are made up, but the bragging rights are very, very real. Stay tuned, stay salty, and I'll see you next week.
This is the Foot and Ball Fantasy League News, breaking stories, over reactions, and toe tally questionable predictions.